Hey everyone, Engage the Trade here, part 3 of the example trading day. Here's my Twitter, just so you know, at Engage the Trade. You can follow me here. At the top, I've pinned a trading checklist that'll help you just keep in mind some of the important things to look at before you make a trade. Before is the keyword there. So check that out. And then I post on here quite a bit. A lot of times I'll post photos or screenshots of some charts, but I didn't today because I was kind of focused on some other stuff. So let's get to the third part, which is how do I find the charts that I put onto my checklist, which was part 1. Part 1, you saw my checklist ready to go this morning, and I mentioned all the names, showed you all the charts and kind of what I would expect from them. And some of them like DDOG and Work and SDC, they all went pretty big moves. So how do I find these? I've actually compiled a list of stocks, just names that I like, that I've seen good patterns in. I add them to the list, or if someone mentions them on Twitter, I'll add them to the list. As long as they fit the criteria that they're optionable, and then ideally weekly options, sometimes monthlies I'll still take a look at. But yeah, weekly options, optionable, and high volume and close spreads as you're trading them. Some of them do not have close spreads that I have on my list, but like RAD, for example, but that is worth watching just because it's so hot right now. So I have those kind of filters, but I don't always stick to them. If there's something with momentum, I'll be sure to pay attention to that. So coronavirus is bringing a lot of momentum into the market in certain names. And actually, it seems like every company, every little biotech is saying they're releasing a vaccine or a test for the coronavirus. So they're all taking advantage of it, just like back when Bitcoin was booming and drink companies, Long Island Iced Tea, said they're getting into Bitcoin. So just a quick deal here. I'm going to show you what I do. So I put my plays in lists, all of the ones I'm interested in. They might not have a good setup right now, but I'll put them in based on their price. These are obviously have changed price recently and stuff, but generally speaking, I just lump them into the price category and I just go through these. I try to every day, but I usually do every other day because I pull enough that I like, and it keeps me busy one day before I kind of go look at everything. So I'm going to show you what I do through this list and what I'm looking for, and then I'll show you the checklist I found for tomorrow, which is kind of like the end result. It does take about an hour to go through all of these, but I'll get faster at that as I go. I've just been doing a new system, and I've been kind of practicing this. I used to just do screeners and pull just the hot ones, but now I do it differently. So anyway, here's a great one that I will be adding to the list, Square. Great short setup here. Some negative news because they updated their quarterly guidance down. And so their loss is looking to be a little bit more than it was guided for. So that's a great short setup, especially if we can get a little pop in the open and then get puts right here as it drops. I don't short shares. I just buy puts if I'm doing short. So that's a good one to watch. I'm going to zoom out so we can kind of see why I was watching these back in the day. Beyond Meat had this nice coil going on. Earnings dropped out of it. And now it's actually not a bad short setup, but I probably won't be adding it to my list. There's plenty of others that I like more. GWPH Pharmaceuticals. This is actually, if you look back at the daily, it's kind of lining up there, but fell with the market, and now it's actually looking like a good short potential, actually. Look at it, broke down a little bit already. I'll zoom back out. There's another kind of coil short, and it definitely worked. Target's been pretty choppy lately, so I don't even want to mess with that. Lowe's had look at that, inverted head and shoulders breakout. Tested and held, but then market dropping and earnings both took it out of it. Twilio, nice coil there, broke down of it. This one's actually pretty good. TTWO, it's the video game, Take-Two software. So that's a great retest of this breakout spot. So, I mean, even just watching this for a break over, I mean, you could, if it gaps down and holds this a little bit, and then tries to break out this after half hour or so, you could try a call with a risk to here. It's not a bad idea. It's very choppy though, so be careful with that. But I would definitely consider this if it kind of consolidates for a little while as a good strangle play in the future. So anyway, this is kind of what I do. I find these trend lines and try to draw them out and see what's happening. Harsh down a few days or a few weeks for PayPal, and now it's in this rising wedge, which is definitely a bearish signal if it breaks down out of that. There's the daily, bounced at that big support there. Yeah, so that could be a bearish play. I would like some more consolidation, but right now, this market, you don't really get it too much. But anyway, I go through and look stuff like that. Here's Walmart. Nice flag, rising wedge-ish type thing. Needs more consolidation in there before I would try anything. Again, I want it super tight, especially in this market, because the market's so volatile right now that if you can find a really tight range and get strangles on it, you could win both ways, which is not a bad gig. Ooh, Disney's a decent short setup. There are some put buyers today in it. Here's Baidu. Had their earnings. Looks like it can't break out of that, so that could be a short. But again, these ranges are big, so got to be careful. OKTA, this is a nice falling wedge, but earnings, so no thank you. So anyway, these are all here's a great one. I forgot about this one. STMP. Stamp.com, great falling wedge after just an enormous, massive gain out of earnings. Got 95 going into earnings. 125 was the low that day. Just dropped for a little bit. And then it got up to 183 that week. What a great, that was a Thursday to Friday. What a great strangle. Basically right out the open strangle would have been a great play. Just based on the sheer intensity and volume coming out of that earnings. But I did not play it. I was busy with some other ones that day. That was also the day the market dropped quite a bit for the first time, and it just did not care. So anyway, this is a great falling wedge there. I'll add that to my list now. So what I'll do is go, Clorox. Let me see how it's doing on the daily. This is a great one for just disinfectant. Look at that massive relative volume. Great one for disinfectants. Everybody buying that for coronavirus. And man, it had a nasty sell-off here. Gave a great opportunity for some buy-in. And then now it's trickling up. Well, I'd say that's a pretty good looking candle surge. More than a trickle. But it's choppy, so not something that I see a trade right now, but definitely something to watch. Lotto calls would have been good going into tomorrow for the heck of it, but next week might give us a better trade. So anyway, that's some of the stuff like that I look through, and then I just yay or nay it, and then I go over to my checklist, and I'm going to add STMP here. So this is all the ones I'm watching. This is important to see futures, see how they're doing. They're actually still bouncing slightly. I would expect this to roll over and honestly drop more tomorrow. Going into the weekend, with this coronavirus stuff heating up in America, it seems very unlikely that people will want to hold over the weekend when you could get a lot of reports of new cases. But I also thought that last weekend and was wrong. So keep an eye on that. Now here are the plays I want to do. So what I do is just go through each of my lists as far as the price points, and then I put them all in a checklist, and then I go through and make a plan. So this one, SunPower, let me get to the 30-minute. I like this one if it opens below and then tries to break out again. Run actually had a good day, and it's a Sunrun. They had a good day with some good news, and so this could catch some of that momentum. It definitely did before some major 850 to 1080, some big moves. So yeah, it would have to open under and then break out, and I would try the breakout for a day trade. NIO, like I was talking to you about before, the coil fell out of the coil. This would be a good short, but earnings is there, so keep that in mind. It'd be interesting what that does. Continuation on D-Dog here. Look at that curl right above, bounce right at VWAP on the 5-minute. What a curl. What a breakout. That was a beast. This is monthly options, and they're pretty pricey, so I did not bother looking at it during the day. I know I wanted it on my chart and everything. It's a shame. What a great move. Now, continuation though tomorrow. If it gaps down, breaking out over the highs could be pretty strong. Look at the relative volume too. Again, no gap ups. I'm not playing those in this market, especially if it gaps down and then tries to test that and breaks out, I would try that. So we'll see. Go grocery outlet, very interesting base here. Came up out of it. It's supposed to be earnings. Maybe it's tomorrow, today, something. But that all is kind of dependent on it. But we'll see what happens after earnings. Kroger went crazy today after. And then CubeSmart. This one, high relative volume, broke out today but couldn't hold. But still, it is coming back with a vengeance. Really interesting. Work. This one, unfortunately, I bought here but did not sell for the gain. It was like 50%, 60%, and then I held on. Falling wedge. I like falling wedges. I know it's not broken out of it, but I like that idea of something kind of keeping it down today and then finally breaking out tomorrow, especially with all these companies canceling work potentially for next week and saying don't come in to work for the week. So that's a good one. And I mean, that move today was so powerful. I was kind of surprised it didn't bounce up and reclaim VWAP. So we'll see how that goes. This one I mentioned was a great strangle, and it sure was. It went down about $3 today. $3 move. And it stayed in that long-term channel. For now, we'll see how that goes, but definitely one because it resisted that, or rejected up there. Definitely one to watch for short. It's already kind of a little bit oversold, but definitely one to watch, especially if it can kind of like do an H. I love the H setup for shorts, so do an H here during the day tomorrow, and then, or even just kind of hang out down here, but then flush under. But ideally this stays in this channel till the end of next week, because I love playing Wednesday, Thursday strangles. Glue, great strangle opportunity. I tweeted about this a couple times. Falling wedge breakout and retest. Doesn't mean it's going to go, but good chance it does, or rolls over and fades. Another one, same idea, but this one definitely had a stronger breakout. I would say that this one's harder because the spreads are so wide on the options. It was tough for me because I went to look at them and I think they were like 40 cents. Some of them were bigger, and I was like, I'm not touching that. That's too risky. You don't want to mess around with that because you start trying to buy in the middle and you can't, and then you're like, well, but I really want this, and so you overspend on it. So yeah, that's the tough thing about Chewy, but you can trade the stock, obviously too. Walgreens, I missed the surge at the end. I was kind of watching it when it was here and then got distracted, but what a great setup again. Gap down, recovered, and then going into the weekend with this is a big deal for coronavirus stuff, so keep an eye on that. This one I kept on because it had a great setup, just like Walgreens basically, and gap down, tried to come back up, couldn't, but it hasn't really failed yet. It's just kind of hanging there. So it's a good one to watch for both retest of this and then maybe even a fade. I noticed this flag breakout happening and almost traded that, but decided not to just because the options are pretty widespread again, and I didn't want to play the stock but it looks like it's got this rising wedge, which could definitely break down. But it could do a 2 or 3 day. Well, this is the second day, so the 3 day kind of gradual parabolic rise, like Space did a while back. It's looking really similar. I mean, this looks really similar to Space, where it had a I think a full day, or the end of the day kind of came up out of this ascending triangle like that, and then just hung out up there. So it could definitely get some steam. GNMK, this is the testing thing for coronavirus, the tests, I believe. So you got a great breakout here, gap up, and then surge, and then it almost fell, trapped some shorts, I'm sure, twice, and then this actually could rip up for a second run through that, which also would be the previous high, or close to it. Multiple spots like that are good. I got a Peloton strangle. This one's potentially good. It keeps bouncing off this bottom here. If the market can bounce tomorrow too, which I don't think it will, but if it keeps swinging both ways like it's been doing, this could definitely come test this 29 level up here. But I love that fierceness of the bounces, and so looking for something big move either way on that. And then RAD, great coronavirus play. I got a call in that. Would have been good to do strangle, but I decided to just get a far out lotto call, super cheap. Grand Canyon broke out of the falling wedge and retesting. Wi-Fi, after the earnings, nice gap up and then surge up to that level again. It's a big level above the 200 MA, which is nice. So this one I would probably have to trade. I'm not telling you all of these setups exactly what I would do, because this is already a long video, but I'm just kind of showing you what I'm looking at so you can start noticing these yourself. SDGR, this is a new one that actually is optionable, but they're $5 apart strike prices. So you can get like 40 strike price or 45. This is an awesome chart. This is what you want. A new name like this, recent IPO, great breakout, just beastly, and then some good down selling days, and then just popped up again. This is actually right after earnings, so popped up again. Couldn't make it out of the coil though, and so it's quieting down, which is a huge opportunity for strangles. I think the calls are monthly, or the options are monthly though, so you probably want to do a straddle at 40 instead of trying strangles, but it's not terrible to try a 45 strangle and a 35 strangle, or sorry, 45 call, 35 put here. So that's a great setup. I love it. It's a little pricey because of how far you got to go, and because of how hot it's been, and because it's far out. But this shows it's kind of proven itself that it can move big time. Kroger, insane move today after earnings. Earnings was good, but nobody really seemed to care until the open, and so gave a great entry over the yesterday's high if you wanted it. I was not watching this, unfortunately. I was watching work and some others. What a move, though. Then bounce right off of VWAP. man. So that's definitely one. Look at that massive volume. Definitely one on a gap down. I would potentially a gap down or a pullback to here. I would test some and then have your risk be about 50 cents or so, and then stop out. Just because if this drops any more than this level, it's probably going to stay down. But that's kind of what I would do. So hoping for that pullback, or you can play, if it opens lower, play the breakout for a small gain, or hold it long if it's really ripping. So a lot of ways you can play that, but the big play was today, if you were on that. And then LK, another coil. This one I'm really hoping spend some time consolidating, even though it broke out. It kind of failed for now. I love this chart for an options play next week if it stays. Sorry for the squeak. If it stays in this range, next Wednesday or Thursday would be a great strangle. So that'd be like, yeah. And tomorrow it's a great play. Potential too, even strangles into it. But I'm more looking at for next week. Gilead. I like this one a lot because they have the only drugs, sounds like, that would be treating coronavirus. Everything else is looking at, all these other ones are looking at vaccines. So this one would be treating the virus, which is a big deal. And already gone to trials, I believe. Yeah, it's not the greatest chart as far as cleanest. Sometimes, though, those are the best, the ones that kind of move freely like that. Just got to get in at the right spot, which right now, if there's a gap down and it kind of breaks this level, tomorrow, I would consider that with a risk down to the bottom of these, so like 75.40. However, this one, it's going to be a while for these trials to finish, so I'm hoping that this one gets a little pullback here and then sets up for next week. mRNA, this one was one that just went nuts last week and dropped from 35 to 23. It kept getting halted. I mean, that was a massive move down. Crazy. But if you ignore those big moves, which sometimes you kind of have to when you're looking at some of these charts, I mean, you got this flag here, and it kind of comes back to that. It's like, after all this, let's come back to the same thing, and then drops down and flags here. So you got this long flag with a couple crazy extremes. That is a very good strangle spot. So they also have the potential vaccine that's in testing. So great strangle spot there, potentially. And mRNA. iRobot was nice. Faded today, but I would keep an eye on this level. It's going to be big with this nice gap. If it fades lower tomorrow, I would probably not watch it anymore, especially since it broke down this support and couldn't reclaim it. So I'd take it off my checklist, but I won't take it off my watch list, the one I filter through that I showed you at the beginning of the video. So, Southwest Airlines is hanging on and not dropping as much as some of these others have. Spirit and United and American have all dropped way more. So Southwest has definitely not gone as far down, so it could definitely go down further, even though it's probably a better company. It could definitely go down further on news of cancellations of flights within the US. So that's one to watch. Now, also because it hasn't dropped as much, it's stronger on the bounce, and so you could watch it on a bounce through this level, and just kind of even through that 47 level could be good. But wide ranges, so make sure you manage your risk and know where your stop is going to be. Etsy had a great opportunity gap down today. I missed this on this morning's checklist. I was thinking about it yesterday, but didn't add it. Great gap down and then rise. Some of the options went like 4 times gains and that rise. And then, yeah, that's a great flag. It's got some freedom, some movement up and down, which is nice. Some flow there. So that breaking up to the upside would be nice, or even breaking down if market fades down to like 60 potentially. So that's another good one. And oh yeah, Square I already showed you from the screening. And then here's the one I was talking about in my part 2. Broke out of the spot and gave a nice move, but couldn't quite stay there. But it's interesting how it stayed above the trend line now. So that's, it's nothing special, but it is what it is. And you can kind of move the trend line like this more. It's more of a channel now. But I would not be surprised if this sees 130 plus before too long. A couple days maybe. And then stamp. Showed you that. All right. I think that's it. Yeah. Here's S&P futures again. I always keep this in mind because this can change everything. Yeah, if this curls over, look out below. You got supports at, kind of have this first support 29.90-ish, not too far down. So like 297 on SPY, or 298. Next support would be down here at the 229.37, which actually is the 294 mark, and then the 287 or 286-ish. So there you go. You got support 294 and then 286. I mean, if this could be pretty nasty if it curls over in futures. Could get nasty and test those levels again. So obviously that can change your trading, but if you're looking at a bunch of long plays like this one and it doesn't get affected by a gap down, then you definitely want to keep an eye on that relative strength and potentially play it. So that's all. I know this is a long video, but hopefully you'll be able to see what I do. And that's how I go about the after hours to find what I want to play. And then because I've already shared with you basically what I shared this morning for tomorrow, it's just like showing you the full cycle. intraday trades, I can take videos of more of those to show you. But all in all, that's it for now. That's all I do. Thanks for watching. Again, follow me on Twitter, and I'll be releasing more resources in the future. Thanks. Bye.